Welcome back, everyone, to Sports Call on this Tuesday afternoon. Andy and Brett here with you for another hour and a half, taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll-free or locally at 334-887-3401. We'll pick up your phone calls in the next segment. We're going to welcome in a great friend of the program, Jason Caldwell from Inside the Auburn Tigers. Jason, how you doing today?
Hey, guys. How about yourself?
Doing really well. Jason, obviously it's game week on the Plains. We've been looking forward to this for quite a while now. What's Auburn's practice schedule looking like this week?
Yeah, it's kind of going to be normal game week stuff. They had Monday off, but they practiced a little bit Sunday, had Monday off, and then it'll be a heavy day Tuesday and Wednesday. Considering, I mean, they've been pretty heavy, but normally that'll be where they wear shields, something like that. Do a little bit of contact, but probably not a whole lot. But it'll kind of taper off at the end of the week and let the guys get their legs back from under them and do all those things. So they'll practice each Wednesday, Thursday, have a little short walkthrough on Friday, and then get ready to go.
Hey, Jason, this is Brett. Just wanted to talk about it because it's got a lot of hype today with the depth chart. You just can't place a lot of emphasis in depth charts. Obviously, you have to put one out to kind of give everybody a basis to judge everything off of. But, Gus Malzahn and Ellis Johnson both really preach depth. A lot of coaches do nowadays. And, you got to list somebody as 1 and 2, but like on the defensive line, I think you're going to see a great mix of guys, switching from tackle to end. They've kind of been cross-trained, as Andy said earlier, kind of just moving all over the place to see who, depending on what type of offense we're going up against, we'll see what the best combination is.
Yeah, I think there's only a couple of spots where the depth chart really matters a whole lot right now. And really even into the opener, it doesn't matter a whole lot. One of those is quarterback, but we know that Nick Marshall's not going to start. But he's the number one quarterback, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot there. You look and probably offensive line is important because you normally don't rotate guys there. But everywhere else, I think for the most part, probably in the secondary and the linebacker, they probably won't rotate those guys as much early on. But defensive line, even wide receivers, but running back, they're going to rotate those guys a pretty good bit, and so because of that. It gives you a basis to kind of have a starting point, like you said, but it's not it's not a huge deal in the end. I think a lot of it's going to depend on situations, where the ball is, maybe what formations they want to run on offense or what team on defense, so he starts anyway. So not a ton of news there. So at least it's out of the way now. People can kind of get ready and focus on the game for Saturday.
Jason, I know that you look down at the depth chart and you try to pick out a guy, and I know we haven't even played a game yet, but our question of the day is, what freshman do you feel like will have the biggest impact this year? So I'm going to kick that to you. Look into your crystal ball and tell me who you feel like. Is it Trey Williams? Is it Rock Thomas? Is it somebody else? Who do you feel like by the end of the year will be that freshman that everybody goes, yep, that's who we thought would be an impact player for Auburn?
Yeah, I think you got to say Rock Thomas at this point. I think, obviously it's easier to get involved probably at the running back position than maybe anywhere else on the field. So I think because of that, it's sometimes easier for a freshman running back to have a big impact. So I think I would say he's probably the guy of the new guys, the freshmen that'll have a chance to make a big impact. Trey Williams is in there. I think, Stephen Roberts, I think, is going to have a chance to make an impact. And I really think that, you look at a guy like Nick Ruffin, kind of depending on what happens to Robinson Parisi down the road. Nick Ruffin's a guy that's ready for prime time now as well. So you got some guys that are going to play, I think, situations, obviously play on special teams. But I would say Rock is probably the guy I would think that will have the best chance.
Jason, Carl Lawson, they keep talking about what a phenomenal recovery and treatment that he's been getting. And, I've just wondered, seeing him around the athletic complex, can you tell, how much progress he is making? Do you feel like all the talk that he will be back at some point this season, is that accurate?
I think it probably is. I mean, he's a guy that is so strong. I mean, so physically strong anyway, and that's really one of the biggest problems when you have a surgery, knee surgery, something like that, is the muscles around your knee kind of building those things back up. But he's a guy that had a probably a head start on most people in that department. You know, I saw him really a couple weeks after the surgery, and had he not had shorts on and wearing a brace, you wouldn't have known that he had surgery. I mean, not much of a limp even then. So I think that's one of the things. They'll take their time with Carl, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of those guys that has a chance to make a faster recovery than most in that. And I've got this feeling that you know, kind of the midway point of the season, y'all going to have a Thursday night game and an off week kind of thrown in there. So that's basically another couple of months. I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing, you know, some things about him, you know, getting back out there and doing some stuff and testing it out. So I think it'll be something to watch for maybe kind of the midway point of the season.
Chris Davis was such a huge part of Auburn last year, not only as a cornerback but especially as a punt returner. Quan Bray wins that duty this year, the senior. You kind of feel good about having a senior back there because of his experience. But does he have what it takes to be a difference maker as a punt returner?
I think Quan will do a good job. I think he's really solid. I think he's the guy that is the starter for now. Just my opinion. I think playing an SEC opponent the first game, you want somebody that's been there and done that before. So I think probably now that he's the guy that you look to, and then maybe you revisit it even in week 2. Maybe you give somebody else a shot, you know, against San Jose State, give them a couple of chances to see what they can do. So you got Marcus Davis, and then you know, Stephen Roberts is another guy too. I wouldn't be surprised to see them look at a couple of guys, but if Quan goes out and has a couple of big returns on Saturday, he may take it over for good. I think the good thing about Quan is he's been pretty sure-handed, and that's what you want, I think, especially in this first game.
Well, Jason, you know, I'm going to ask you a question, all right? But this is something that I really never thought that I would do. And there's a segment on Conan. They say sentences that have never been uttered in the history of mankind. I think I'm about to do one of those. The Auburn Tigers basketball team is now ranked number 5 in recruiting in the country. Bruce Pearl just brought in 3 guys here just in the past weekend. Can you kind of elaborate on those 3 guys and just are you as astonished by this as the rest of us?
Not really astonished. You know, obviously you kind of catch us by surprise a little bit, but you know, I'm one that I thought the right person in this job was going to be able to do some good things, and obviously he's a guy that has everything you're looking for, and he brought in a very, very good staff to do those things as well. But you know, Daniel Purifoy is a guy that originally from the state of Alabama, and I think that helped. And it was a guy that was familiar with Auburn. You know, knew what the possibilities were. It was going to be a little bit closer to his home in Bibb County. So I think that was a good starting point there. But obviously, you kind of building block there. And then Horace Spencer, kid from originally Philadelphia, from Finley Prep out in Henderson, Nevada. And this is a big-time kid, 6'8", right around 200 pounds or so. That's the center. But I think probably going to be more of a forward guy down the road. You know, long, lanky power forward, a guy that can block shots, do some things. And then T.J. Dunans is a guy from original Tennessee, 6'5", 190, has a Marquise Daniels type look to him, long and lean. But he's a scoring shooting guard. You know, presents a problem to take to the basket and has some range. So I mean, that's three really outstanding prospects for the 2015 class already, and I think they're just kind of scratching the surface. I really believe that they've got a chance to turn this thing around in a hurry. And you kind of mix in really good basketball players, a good coaching staff, and to me, I think you got a chance to have a really good thing going down the road with this Auburn Arena. I think it could be one of the best home court advantages in the country if it's sold out week in and week out, game in and game out. And I think with this excitement building, they got a chance to do that this year. If it's a sellout this year and, you know, adding a couple of pieces to the puzzle, I think Auburn is a chance to be a postseason team even this year. When you talk about the excitement, the energy, those things, if that happens, then they could do some really fun things down the road.
Well, Jason, we really appreciate you joining us here on Sports Call. Anything you'd like to promo on Inside the Auburn Tigers right now?
Just a lot of stuff going on today at autigers.com. Video of Gus Malzahn's press conference story and a little video from Sean Coleman as well. Have Stat Tiger, his preview for the weekend, and
that Tigers coming off a year last year where he was about as good as anybody anywhere at predicting games, and so that's on the front page as well. Also, some video of Auburn prospects and targets: Chandler Cox, Martez Ivy, Darrell Williams. So you want to find anything just about right now on Auburn, check that out at autigers.com.
Jason, we really appreciate you joining us here today. We look forward to catching up with you weekly here on Sportscall.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Thanks, Jason.